back to Learning English with Captain Binoy Varagil, Assistant Professor, Department of English, St. Joseph's College, Devgiri. We know that the English language is not very old when we consider the classical languages. Classical languages like Greek, Latin, Italian, French, etc. are very old, but the age of the English language is rather short. It's not older than maybe 1,600 or 700 or even 800 years, right? The age, it is rather a young language. The English language is rather a young language, say young language, right? Not very old. But when we think of the English language, its status today, we understand that the English language is, of course, of great significance today. It is a very, very significant language. It has become an international language. The English language has become a global language, an international language. It's a link language. It's connecting people everywhere in different continents. That is the English language. And we are learning the English language. And we are, of course, halfway through the learning of the English language. And we have to learn the speech sounds of the English language, right? We have to pronounce, read, and speak English in the right way, and we have to understand the speech sounds of English. And when we go forward, we have to, of course, learn more about the English language, and we have to discuss which English language. There are different types of English, varieties of English, the American English, the Australian English, the Canadian English, the New Zealand English, the British English, right? The Indian English, different kinds of English. Of all these different kinds of English, which is the best, which is the standard, right? We hear about standard English, and the standard English is what is known as received pronunciation. And we have to understand what is RP, what is received pronunciation, or how did received pronunciation or a standard English origin. That's what we discuss. And now we have to understand that once, all right, we have different periods in the history of the English language, like the Old English, the Anglo-Saxon English, the Middle English, and of course the modern English. And when we look at the English language, we understand that right now English language has spread wide and is very popular, and we understand that it has several varieties, but there is something like the RP or received pronunciation, and the RP or the received pronunciation is considered to be the standard English. It is considered the standard English. All right. And we have to understand why is this particular English, received pronunciation, standard English. All right. And when we think of that, we have to understand so many things. First, we have to go back to the Middle English period. As I said, we have the Old English period, we have the Middle English period, we have, of course, the Modern English period. And when we go to the Old English period, we have an important writer called Geoffrey Chaucer. So Geoffrey Chaucer has some significance in the making or the development of the English into what is called the standard English or received pronunciation. Chaucer, in his Canterbury Tales and many other works, used the East Midland dialect, and it is the East Midland dialect, dialect. We have different dialects. There were 7 small kingdoms in Britain during the Anglo-Saxon period, and there were, of course, different dialects. And of all these dialects, the East Midland dialect became prominent or dominant during the Middle English period because Chaucer used this number one. Geoffrey Chaucer used the East Midland dialect. All right. And it was, of course, the dialect that was used in that geographical area where we had the great universities of Oxford and Cambridge. So Geoffrey Chaucer uses the East Midland dialect. It is used in the Oxford and Cambridge. This is the very dialect of English that is used in the central part of Great Britain. And there we have London. London is the city where we have so much of movements going on, activities going on, trade, business, people coming from Europe, people going out, colonization, spreading of the great British power. And we have, of course, the great British Empire where the sun never sets. And this English, the very East Midland dialect, the dialect of Chaucer, right? Subsequently, we can see many other writers like Shakespeare and all use the same, right? And this particular dialect, the East Midland dialect, becomes the popular or dominant dialect. And this is used, of course, by the upper class people, rather, yeah, the upper class people, the rich people, all right, in Britain. And it is used, this particular English, all right, slowly spreading far and wide. And it is used, of course, in the public schools of Britain and, of course, the public schools of countries which are the colonies of Great Britain. And again, remember, it is used for printing as well. Right now, in the 17th century, we have William Caxton just coming forward with the printing machine, and the same English, the East Midland dialect, is of course used in the printing again. So because of all this reason, this particular English, the East Midland dialect, or rather the dialect used in the London region, dialect used in universities of Oxford and Cambridge, and right, used in printing and used by Chaucer and the other important writers of the period, is becoming popular. And in the 19th and 18th centuries, right, we have to remember 18th century and 19th centuries, right, education is the privilege of, right, education is not open, or rather ordinary people cannot go for education to universities and education institutions. It is the privilege of the upper class people, and the upper class people are using this particular, they go to the public schools, they go to the universities, they learn, and their language is, of course, this particular language. Later, it is, of course, implemented in all the educational institutions and universities. And the Education Act, we have the Education Act of 1944, Education Act. And under the 1944 Education Act, English education is becoming very popular, and it is becoming compulsory in all the colonies of Great Britain. Similarly, of course, as a result of that, it is used everywhere. It is used in the public schools. It is used for, of course, universities, and English language is becoming more and more prestigious and popular. And the very English language is taught by people from London region, people from Britain. They are using, of course, the Received pronunciation, or the educated Southern British English. That's very important. They are using the educated Southern British English. And as a result of that, as a result of the implementation of the English education, the educated Southern British English used by British people in the southern part of Britain, and again remember, these people are educated people, that English is becoming what is known as the standard English, right? So the standard English is the educated Southern British English of British people in London and nearby, and it is becoming what is known as a received pronunciation. It is received by everybody. It is accepted by everybody because it is the language of the upper class people. It is the language of the learned people. It is the language of the educated people. And it is the accent that is used in the popular common broadcasting agency, that is BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation. All right. And thereafter, the British Broadcasting Corporation's English, the BBC English, is becoming the standard English, or the received pronunciation. And today, all right, now we know that that particular English is just used in most universities of the world. It is used in, of course, most of the public schools in most of the countries of the world. And this particular RP, or received pronunciation, or educated Southern British English, is becoming very, very popular and prestigious, and we are learning the same educated Southern British English. And now our discussion of English phonology, we study the same sounds of received pronunciation. We study British English, we study the received pronunciation, and we are in the future classes going to classify and describe the speech sounds of received pronunciation or educated Southern British English, right? And now we have to just connect everything. We have what is called the International Phonetic Association, the IPA, International Phonetic Association, and we have the phonetic symbols used by the International Phonetic Association, the International Phonetic Alphabet, all right? And from the International Phonetic Alphabet, from the International Phonetic Association, we are using certain script for learning the RP, and we begin our learning of the scripts of received pronunciation in subsequent classes. And with this, of course, with this script, we can understand how standard English is pronounced and used, right? So we will have the description and classification of the phonemes of received pronunciation in the subsequent classes. Let us just learn it very thoroughly so that our English is becoming really standard. That is, of course, received. That is the received pronunciation. Thank you very much for listening. May God bless you.